Oh, goodness. I'm putting my butt to the camera. Okay. So it was a full moon on Tuesday, and I went out with a dude I've been seeing, and there was so much full moon energy that spiraled throughout the week. It was very concerning, not a good situation. Highly entertaining though. And now I was talking to a friend, they were like, oh, like, I'm so sorry that happened. I'm like, no, I'm really glad it happened. Now I've only been seeing him a couple of weeks. I'm really glad I didn't invest more into that. And then I was had somebody else say, oh, it's Scorpio season, so that's probably gonna like increase things. And I'm not like really into astrology, but it's interesting to me the points where it lines up so it gives you something to think about, you know, like more of like an introspective response. So I was like, okay, let me look up Scorpio season. And one of the things I was coming to is that it's a good time to do this ritual where you light a black candle and then you write down all of the things that you want to purge, and then you either burn the things or cut them up and bury them, something, anything. And I was like, well, I don't have a black candle, but this would be a really good time to sage my apartment so that like this person who was spending a lot of time with me, I don't have his energy around. So I'm light the sage and I'm wandering around, I'm like smudging everywhere. And because I was raised by my grandmother, I start hearing, I want to wash that man right out of my house. And like that gets me in a good mood. So I'm dancing and I'm like, yep, get out of my house. I'm rolling the stage everywhere. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I really don't think that's how that ritual was designed to happen. But it was really therapeutic. Yes, it was so helpful. And I have no idea if sage actually has any properties to remove bad energy, but I really felt like the energy was removed. And it was like, you know, I don't really care if whatever happens is a placebo effect. I care about the effect. I don't care if it was a sugar pill that did it. I just want to feel enlivened by that. So when people ask me all the time, like, I know you take a bunch of different classes, they're like, oh, well, I don't really like yoga. Do you think that it's still worthwhile to do Pilates or Tai Chi or Qigong or whatever? I said, yeah, is it useful to you? Do you feel like you have this opportunity to connect with your body and with your breath? Do you feel soothed? Do you feel cared for? Do you feel like you've just kind of developed this peace and this sense of ease with yourself? That's what we're doing here in this practice, in this ritual. And it changes up all the time. And maybe we don't do it like exactly as you're supposed to do the ritual, but it's about the effect, not the exact ingredients we put into it. So, okay, more rituals to start. We'll do face brushing. So index finger and thumb together, starting at the center of the forehead and going outwards towards your temples. And then going from the sides of your nose out to your temples along your cheekbones. And then at home, you can go from the temples down to your chin, but those of us with masks on, we can just rub the very bottom edge of the jawline in and out. And if you want to run from the sides of the nose down to the chin, you can, but those of us with masks will just press the hands in between the corners of the mouth and the nose. Let out an exhale. And then take your fingertips and massage underneath and behind your ears so that you're getting that lift of the bony spot that's right behind there. Feeling a little bit more space in between your vertebrae. And keeping that lift as you rest your hands down into your lap. Close your eyes if it's comfortable, or find something soft in front of you to focus on. And take a few deep breaths. We suggest Ujjayi breath in yoga, where you constrict the back of your throat and try to breathe in and out through your nose. It's supposed to be a filtering and warming practice that helps us to focus, but whether you're wearing a mask or you're feeling sniffly or that just has never worked for you, you don't have to breathe that way. We're not like doing yoga wrong if you're breathing differently. but find a way that you can focus on your breath. And then next time you take a nice big breath in, take a big exhale out through your mouth. Again, like that. For 3 ohms. Start to open your eyes, just resting your hands somewhere comfortable in your lap. If you need to switch the cross of your legs or shift anything at all, go ahead and do that. And then we're going to take a gentle cat cowing with the spine. So as you inhale, lift your chest up, look up and roll your shoulders back. And then as you exhale, round back, dropping your chin. And keep going. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, rounding back. Taking a few more with your breath. One more round. And when you come back up to neutral, if you decide that you don't want to be on your knees for any reason, you can keep doing that, even taking the hands behind you so that you can use like the bone density of bearing the weight on your arms. You can go that route, or we'll come onto our hands and knees and we'll work through a little bit more flowy stuff. And we'll continue with that cat-cow for just a couple of rounds. Inhale, looking up, and then exhale, rounding back. And then the cow spine, when you lift your chest and lift your tail, just remembering what that feels like for later. Lifting of your heart up and forward. Finish up the round that you're on, and then come back towards a more neutral spine. And then you're going to scoot your knees back a little bit and scoot your hands forward a little bit. And then let your hips come forward, take your heart up, so you have a little bit more of that like cow energy lifting your chest. And then you're gonna curl back towards child's pose. And then inhale, sending the hips forward, lifting your heart up. Exhale, curling back, and make sure you're using your core to support you. Inhale, coming forward, lift that chest, doesn't matter how far the hips get forward. Exhale, pull the belly back, pull the hips back. Do 2 more like that. And then next time you end up back in child's pose, go ahead and walk yourself back so that you come back just as far as feels good to you. You don't have to have your hips on your heels. Your hips can be way far back in the air. Just take a big breath in and let your body soften as you breathe out. And one more time like that. And then lifting your head up, looking forward, we're going to come back up onto our hands and knees. Now, those of you who might be sitting and not on your knees, you can come straight to standing. We'll be working our way there. We're going to come into little downward facing dog. Just feeling a little bit more power around the hands. Walk into the calves a few times, or walk into the heels so you stretch your calves. And then coming forward into a forward fold. And don't bother hanging out because we'll do a lot more of it later, but you can work your way up to standing. I'm gonna shift this. Yes. So starting in Tadasana or mountain pose, just having the feet underneath you, letting your arms rest down by your sides, we'll be working, extending, feeling the expansion energy and then feeling the softening energy, kind of working through the spine quite a bit. And we're going to try to return right into this baseline mountain pose every time and just notice how these little ritual elements we do changes the way that this feels. Feeling the weight of your feet into the earth, the stacking of your spine, the lifting up from right behind your ears. And then we'll extend, lifting the arms up. Take a nice big breath in. And then exhale, there's that softening. So you're gonna fold forward. You can bring your fingertips to your shins. If you wanted to bring your hands onto a block, if that seemed like a good touching point, you could go there too. And then thinking of that cat spine, roll your shoulders back and send your heart forward. So you come up about halfway or somewhere in the vicinity of halfway, and it's that tailbone reaching back, that whole cow spine. Let the exhale happen. Let your body soften again. You don't have to go very far down. We're gonna stand all the way up and lift your arms up. And feel everything extending, and then let the hands come down and then dropping down by your sides. And just steady anatomic alignment. And we'll continue with these half sun salutations, just trying to breathe really slowly and giving space for the movement. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, soften and fold. Inhale, halfway up, feel that extension. Exhale, the softening. Inhale, all the way up, lift your arms. Exhale, hand comes down and right by your sides. And inhale, lift it up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway up, that cow spine, lift the heart. Exhale, soften in. Inhale, all the way up. Exhale, hands come down by your sides. Take this one on your own. You can watch me, you can cheat, you can make it up. There is no cheating. Just do what makes sense to you. Can do something different if you like. And then you're going to take your feet together. We're going to sit back into chair pose. So we're going to sit back and bring the weight back into your heels. You could lift up your toes if you wanted to test that balance. And then bring your hands to your heart. Feel your ears getting farther away from your tailbone. And then you're going to move the weight into your right foot and just take the left toes back behind you a little bit. And then tap them a little bit further back and bring them further in. A little bit further back, bring them further in. Awesome, making sure that the knee doesn't go forward. Go back one more time and back in. And I lied one more time, but this time you're going to scooch all the way back into warrior one. And when you get warrior one, you're going to reach the arms up just like you were with your feet together. Feels a little bit different, feels a little different in the hips. Still feeling that big extension. And then bring your hands into your heart. Lean forward, and you can take a couple of scooches maybe. See if you can come right up into chair pose without standing up first. And then once you get to chair pose, you can stand up and release your arms down by your sides. You might have a little fire in the right glute as we get a little stronger there. And then sit your hips back, bring your hands to your heart. See if you can get a little bit longer in your spine by reaching your arms out for a breath. And then bring your hands back in, and you're going to take your right foot and you're just going to creep it back just a tiny bit so you can keep tapping it. Ooh, back and in and back and in. Hips go back, back and in and back and in. And this time go back and then go back a little bit further and find warrior one. So you've got your back heel down and then lift your arms up. That strong bend in your front knee, reaching up long, all the way from your ribs up to your fingertips, so you're longer in the middle of your spine. Beautiful. You can hear breath, magic, Take another deep breath in. Exhale, lean forward, bring your hands to your heart. You can tap the back toes up a little bit or try to go all the way up into chair pose just to get into that steady seat. And then you can lift up from that steady seat and relax your arms down. Okay. We're gonna step out wide ways on our mats and come into warrior two. I will mirror. We're just gonna talk about front leg and back leg. So setting up into warrior two, you're gonna take this elbow down and then reach the top arm up and over into side angle. Good. Reaching out long through the top arm, keep pulling this front thigh towards the back foot. Excellent. One more breath in. Deep breath out. And then come back up to warrior two. I'm going to take a little bit of a foot adjustment. We're going to shift into warrior one, which means your back foot has to kind of hop over a little bit. And then you face towards that front leg. And whatever your front leg is, you're going to take the opposite hand down to it and then reach the arm back so you're in a little bit of a twist. Now, if this feels good, you can stay here. If you want to bring your elbow down and your hand to your hip or your palms together with your elbow down, you could do that too. It's going to be a deeper twist. You're going to feel it a little bit more. Keep pulling your front thigh towards your back foot. Take another exhale. And then you're going to start to unwind yourself, coming all the way back out to warrior two. And then straighten your legs, turn towards that long side of your mat. Go ahead and rest your arms down and wiggle them out a little bit. And then if you wanted to switch your feet on your mat or just go to face towards the other way, it's up to you. We'll go into warrior two on the other side. Good. I love this like mirroring setup. You can like look at each other and be like, hello, fellow yogi, or not. And then bringing your front elbow down and taking that back arm up and over. Excellent thigh alignment. Keep pulling that hip towards the back foot. Getting a little bit heated into that hip and into that thigh. It'll help us in that next twisting pose. Good. One more round of breath. And then start to lift yourself up into warrior two. Take a little shift in your feet into warrior one. So you have to hop that foot a little bit wider, taking your arms up. Good. And then coming down with your opposite hand towards the front knee, taking the other arm out into a twist. Tom, see if you can hop your back toes up a little bit. So you turn your toes a little bit more forward. Yeah. Good. And then you can take your elbow down if you wanted to. You can bring palms together if you wanted to. It can be easier to leave the other hand at the hip. If palms together makes your balance a little bit funny. Think about pulling that front hip towards your back foot just a little bit more. Give yourself one more exhale. And then you're going to unwind yourself all the way back up into warrior two. And then you can straighten your legs and turn all 10 toes forward and release your arms down. Bring your feet together. We'll come back into mountain pose, or hip width apart rather. Just letting your arms come down by your sides. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes. Noticing how the sensations change in this pose, the energy. Maybe taking this opportunity to come back to your breath if it's gotten a little bit weird. And then opening your eyes. We're going to go back to wide legs. And then this time we'll start in triangle pose. So turning your toes over towards that front leg, shift your hips back and come out into triangle. Yeah. Let your top shoulder lift up. Try to stand strong on both of your feet. One more big breath in. Big breath out. And draw your belly in, start to lift yourself up. You're going to bring your hands to your hips. And then we're going to shift towards warrior one feet again, but we're going to keep the legs straight. turn your heart towards your front toes. Start to lean yourself forward. Try to draw your shoulders back, get a little bit longer in the spine, a little bit more like cat spine rather than, or cow spine rather than cat spine. So a little bit more of that lift in the chest, and exhale, and then come up. And you're gonna take the opposite hand. You're gonna bring it down as far down that thigh as you can. Look into a twist, maybe lift the opposite arm. Kind of checking in with your balance there. And then bring your hands back to your hips. Nice. And stand yourself back up. And then switch the feet so that you come into triangle on the other side. One thing, when you go into the twist, it's hard when you get in here to not just like let the arm go back. Try to have the arm like a little bit lower and then lift the shoulder first. And that might help to get this curling around the spine rather than, I hope that that makes sense. It was a weird way to explain that. Okay, go ahead and shift your hips and come down into triangle pose. So it's that heart lifting up and the palm faces the same way as the heart. Beautiful. One more exhale. And then start to lift yourself back up. You're gonna have to square yourself over towards that front leg. So you hop the back foot over just a little bit. Bring your hands to your hips, lift your chest, and then take your chest forward over that leg. Again, working on standing up on both of your feet, which helps to support you. One more exhale. And lift yourself back up, a little break. You're gonna take the opposite hand down to your thigh and then look over, maybe open the arm. Try to really revolve around the rib cage rather than opening up the arm too much. One more exhale. And then bring your hands back to your hips. Unwind yourself and come back in. We're gonna bring the feet back together into mountain pose. Let your arms drop down by your sides. And close your eyes if it feels good to you. I'm going to take a moment to come into a balancing pose. So if you wanted to come towards something to hold on to come into tree pose, you can do that. Or if you just want to come off the squishiness of your mat. I'm going to pick a leg, bring it up so that it's in your ankle. It may be down on the toes, it might be down on the block, it could be up on your calf. And then bring your hands to your heart. And take a quick journey from hands to heart to taking the arms down by your sides like mountain pose. See if you can still have that strength and lift in that tall, strong mountain. And then maybe you reach the arms up higher, feeling your branches extend into the sky, getting a little bit more lift in your spine. And then gently bring the hands back down, the feet back down. And if there's some bouncing and wiggling of stiff spots, that would be helpful going there. And then finding the other side. So just taking your other leg up somewhere that feels good to you. Make sure you're still lifting the front of your hips. We'll start with the hands at the heart. I like to come here first. It feels like I'm just putting body parts together. And I can take whatever journey with the arms that you like. Maybe you like going from down to up. Maybe you're already up. Maybe you want to do a little interpretive dance. Find some power, find some length wherever you're at. And then go ahead and release everything back down into mountain pose. And we'll come back towards the front of our mats here. Okay. We're gonna do two fairly weird things. You'll probably have to bend your knees in order to get this deep into the twist, but it's gonna be stuff that's kind of good for your hands and kind of good for massaging around the feet. So you're gonna take your peace fingers, you're gonna bring them together, and you're gonna bend into your knees as much as you need to wrap your peace fingers around your big toes. And then try to relax your head. But you do want to try to pull yourself in and push your big toes down onto your fingers. It's weird stuff. One more exhale. And then release your toes, release your fingers, bring yourself back up to standing just to come vertical for another moment. The next one's the really weird one. You want to try to get your hands face up underneath your foot. So go ahead and bend in. I'm going to try to bring the toes as much onto my feet as possible. This is going to be weird for balance because you're not used to standing on body parts like this, but if you allow your feet to massage into your hands, you can get some release to both the hands and the feet. Nice little bonus. One more exhale. And then gently release your feet, come back to standing. Good. And then from the front of your space, we're going to go back one more down dog, and then we're all seated the whole rest of the time. There's a lot of stuff earlier in the day, but we got to get warm when it's not warm at all outside. So starting from mountain pose, let the air out. And then inhale, reach your arms up, feel that lift and strength to lift your arms. And take that same lift and strength down to the floor. You're going to plant your hands, walk your feet back into down dog. And it's as if you're reaching your arms up in the sky. That's the energy you're bringing to pressing your hands down into the floor. Try to relax your heels. Just take one more big breath in, one more breath out. And then gently lower your knees down and swing your legs in front of you. Okay. So we're going into staff pose, taking your hands down by your sides. If you need to have them a little bit in front or back in order to have stronger or straighter arms, you can do that, or maybe having them way far back behind you. You want to be able to push down into your hands. Feel your toes drying up, your quadriceps engage. Your belly is going to loop right up into the center of your ribs. And then hopefully without letting the shoulders come forward, we want to keep those open too. Lift up from the backs of your ears. It might be getting a little bit shaky at this point. See if you're still breathing. One more exhale. And then relax all of that tension. We're going to go from that strong extended place into a soft forward fold. So you don't have to go very far. If widening your legs or bending your knees would feel better, taking those choices for yourself and thinking of what that intention is. We've gone from the extension to the softening inward place. So let yourself soften inwards. One more exhale. And then start to peel yourself out of your fold. You're going to take your hands back behind you, bend into your knees, place your feet on the floor. And you can stay down on the ground just by driving your hands, your fists into the earth so that you can lift your chest up. If you want to lift your hips up for 2 more breaths, you can do that. Big breath in, big breath out. One more time, big breath in. Big exhale, and gently lower your hips down. Shift to being just on your heels. If you wanted to lift your legs up, you could, but we're going to go with just on the heels. And then you're going to reach your arms forward and reach your ears up and back behind you. Keep your heart lifted, breathe in. Exhale, relax your shoulders. Inhale, feel your ears lift. Exhale, wrap that belly back towards the spine. If you want to make it extra spicy, you can reach the arms up for the last big breath in. Big breath out. And then relaxing. I'm going to take the soles of the feet together and then fold forward, softening. Just going however far it feels good, thinking more about trying to relax your back than trying to get your face into your feet. One more exhale. And start to peel yourself out of that fold. Take your left leg out in front of you and then turn your right knee up. You can keep it over here. You can cross it over the leg, but lift your left toes as you hug onto your right thigh and then come into a lifted twist over your leg. Twisting that way. Yeah. Let your belly soften. Feel the spine getting taller. One more breath out. And then release your twist. Release that right leg out and then draw the left leg in, keeping it here, crossing it over. Try to keep your right toes lifted. It'll help to inspire your spine to stay lifted, and then hugging the thigh twist in the other direction. One more big breath in. Big breath out. And release that twist. Unwind your leg. And then take the right leg in again, but this time letting your knee come out. And then if you think of that thigh bone tucking in, you already start to tilt the pelvis forward and then come out into a fold. Letting that softening happen. One more full round of breath. And start to draw yourself back up and switch sides. Taking one leg out in front, drawing yourself up and over it. Staying with your breath. One more breath out. And then coming up. And then we're going to shift to being on our knees again. You could also go into just Sphinx pose instead of being on your knees. So you could just be here if you wanted to, or coming onto your hands or your knees and your elbows. And if you're on your elbows, all of us are, I think, on our elbows, you're going to take your hands and touch your elbows. That's about your spacing. And then you're going to bring your arms out in front of you. So you should be able to touch each elbow with your fingertips. That's how you know they're close enough in. And then you bring your hands out and interlace your fingers. And then you're just going to press down into your elbows. So if you're comfortable on your knees, great. If you're down on Sphinx pose, you're just pressing a little bit down, and we're just building up some strength around our shoulder muscles, some open space in the back of the heart. If you wanted to make this a little bit spicier, you're going to bring your knees even closer to your elbows. And then you might push down in your elbows and lift up into dolphin. And you can take just like a little sip of the pose and then relax out of it and then come back in if you wanted to. Otherwise, we're just pressing down to those elbows here. One more breath in. Exhale, gently lower those knees down. We're going to come all the way down onto our bellies. Reach your arms back. You can reach them back on your own or hold hands to yourself. It's up to you what you like the most. We're going to lift up into Locust Pose, into Shalabhasana. Let the shoulders spread out and open your chest. One more breath in. Exhale, lower it down. And then bring your hands in. I'm going to push ourselves up and then come down onto our backs. You'll shift around until you come back onto your back, knees into your chest. You're going to bring the knees a little bit wider and the feet up. You're either going to hold back behind your knees or reach up to hold onto your feet. I'm going to shift the light. I think I remember which one. Yes. And letting yourself rock out in this happy baby a little bit. And then releasing your feet, placing the soles of the feet down on the ground. Bring your arms in by your sides. Give a little snuggle of your shoulder blades underneath your heart. And we're going to take 3 bridge poses. So the first one might be kind of small. Just press into your feet, lift your hips up. See if you can wiggle those shoulders in a little bit more. You've got options to leave the arms down, to hold hands, or to bring your hands up to the sides of your hips to help you lift up. Take another breath in. And then gently release your shoulders and let your hips slowly come down onto the floor. And then we'll press up again. Go ahead and lift the hips. Give that extra wiggle of your shoulders. Pick something to do with your arms. And then think of pressing down more into the big toe edges of your feet because it's going to help to get those hips, way higher, right? Just a little bit more power. One more inhale. And then softening the shoulders, exhaling and lowering the hips back down onto the ground. We're going to go up one more time, seeing if we can get just a little bit bigger into this heart opening. Push into your feet, lift your hips up, wiggle the shoulders in, hold hands if you like, push down into the big toe edges, and you're going to suck your inner thighs up into your pelvis, reach your kneecaps away from you, and then let your heart fall out of your ribs right into your face. It's opening up so much. One more big breath in. And then relax your shoulders, relax your hips, bring the pelvis back down. And then bring your knees into your chest. We're going to come back up to a seat. You get up there however you like. And if you really like to sit up on a block, you can grab one and sit up on it. If you don't so much love to sit up on a block, don't worry about it. If you like to sit crisscross applesauce, great. Any other seat is going to be good. We're going to let the hands come onto the lap. You can let the palms face up or down, whichever seems relevant to you. But we're just taking this moment to check in with how the body changes over the practice, how different sitting feels after movement. How even though this practice wasn't exactly the same as every other practice we do, and rarely every practice is exactly the same, or the same in any way. This new ritual, this new experience has a new effect, or a familiar effect. Take 5 more long, slow, deep breaths on your own, just watching the sensations, the feedback from your body, your brain. When you're ready, blinking your eyes open. Take your right hand down by your side. It might be on fingertips if you've got a rather tall seat. And then taking the left arm up and open. Make sure both hips are still seated down with whatever weight they were previously when you were straight up and down. Take a big breath in. Let something soften when you exhale. And then release that arm. Bring yourself back to the center. Go ahead and set your left hand or your fingertips down. Reach that right arm up and over. Releasing the right hip downwards. One more big breath in. Soften when you breathe out. And then release that arm. Come back to the center. And then lift your arms up again. Seeing if you feel a little bit longer. If you're having that side stretch after doing all of the hip opening we've been doing. One more big breath in. And then bringing your hands down at your heart. If you have been seated up on anything, remove it if it's a block, keep it if it's a blanket. We're going to take the legs out a little bit wider and just take one more forward fold. And it doesn't have to go out very far. Your legs can be bent. You can adjust this however you like. Sometimes just having hands behind the back to support the body and helping us fold first with the heart feels really nice. Looking for a place you can breathe, a place where you feel like you're relaxing tension in the legs. Because that's the purpose, that's the effect. Whatever the pose looks like, whatever ritual you apply, what am I trying to get out of this? That's the real question. One more exhale. And then start to release that. We're going to start to take a nice easy journey down onto our backs. If there's something that you want to have handy for Shavasana, make sure that you grab that with you. And then we'll meet on backs with knees in the chest, being a little rock around on the spine. I'm going to take a moment to be a little bit more upside down. Extend your legs in the air and just hold on to the backs of your thighs. If you would rather make this a little bit more engaged, you can reach your arms up in the air as well, just kind of letting your limbs float in space. There's a little bit more core engagement involved there. See if you can keep your breath steady with it if you want to stick with this. One more round of breath. And then release your arms back behind your legs. Go ahead and bend your knees. Open your thighs up just to relax those inner thighs that we're working to keep your legs up. And then close them back in. Open your arms and roll your knees over towards the right side, coming into a twist to a degree that feels good to you. See what you can do about relaxing your left shoulder if it's lifting or pinching or tense in response to this twist. One more breath out. And then bringing your knees over towards the other side. Just finding a similar feeling twist in the other direction. See what you can do about relaxing the opposite shoulder. One more breath out. And then coming onto your back, letting the soles of the feet come down, letting your knees knock against each other. Take one hand to your belly and one hand to your heart. honoring how your breath and the movement of your circulatory system, your heart, all help to support and nourish you to keep you going. Knowing that you pay reverence to these systems in your body by the systems you engage in that help to keep you breathing and flowing in ways and to nourish you, to keep you strong and mobile. And then letting go of all of that effort and settling into a very beautifully well-deserved rest. You can stay here. You can extend your arms and legs out into Shavasana. You could choose a seated meditation if that resonates more with you. And enjoy these several minutes of rest before we wrap up together. Start to come back to your breath. As you pay more attention to it, you may already notice it getting deeper, bringing a little bit more energy and awareness into your body. If you feel like moving or fidgeting in any way, following that intuition. And when you're ready, roll yourself over, taking a moment of gratitude for having the opportunity to gather together for practice, for having these ritualistic opportunities, and for being able to share together. And when you're ready, finding your own version of a comfortable seat, take your time to get there and prop yourself up however you like. Bringing your hands together at your heart, we'll seal practice by releasing an Om together. Big breath in. Bowing down to the love and the lightness that resides within each of our hearts. Namaste. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out. Huh? Good, I'm glad. That's the idea.
Thank you.
Thanks, Melinda.
Yes.
Take
Take care. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too. Bye, Ruth.